Hello, 911, what's your emergency? Hi, I'm hungry. What's your name? How old are you? I need you to put me through to an adult. My mom won't wake up, so I called. What's your name, young lady? Where are you? My name is Lara. I don't know where I am. Are you alone? Can you give the phone to an adult? I'm stuck somewhere. The doors are locked. I can't get out. I tried to scream, but no one came to open the door. Lara, can you give me details about where you are? Anything you can see out the window will do, so we can find you. There's a big tree with yellow flowers in the yard. There's also a dog, but he doesn't wake up like mommy. The neighboring house is empty and falling apart, but the door still looks new. It's all red. And there's a car there. The attendant sighed and tried to return the call, but she couldn't. But without wasting any time, he immediately called a police car. We received a call from a girl who appeared to be between 8 and 10 years old. She said that her mother would not wake up and that she was stuck in a place she did not know. The only clues she gave us were a tree with yellow flowers, a dog that she said never wakes up, and the neighboring house that appears to be abandoned and has a red door. The girl's name is Lara and she says she is hungry. Judging by her voice, she sounds tired. We were unable to trace the exact location of the call, but we were able to track down a fairly broad area. Understood, I will search the entire area and ask residents if they know of any places that fit that description. Officer Douglas immediately began searching for the young girl. He searched several neighborhoods and asked many people, but found absolutely no clues. Because it was spring, some houses had a plant in their garden that produced a yellow flower, which made it difficult to find the girl's whereabouts. But it was rare to find a house with a red door. The searches began in the morning and it was already afternoon, but nothing was found. Douglas then stopped at a house where a man was sitting outside in a chair. He was missing one of his legs and had a grumpy face. "Good morning, sir. Do you know of any house with a red door that is abandoned?" "A girl." Before Douglas finished, the man said no and got up to go into the house. He seemed quite irritated by the question. Douglas continued searching, but was unsuccessful. He passed by the house of that gentleman again who was sitting in front of his house. Douglas spoke quickly before he left. "A girl called us and said she was trapped in the house, but she could only give us a clue of a red door on an abandoned house, a dog in front and yellow flowers in the garden. She said she was hungry. If you know anything, it would be very helpful." The man frowned, but said that there was a place that fit that description a few blocks away, but that we had to go a little way into the woods. He finished by telling him to be careful, as it was a place where dangerous people usually went. Douglas thanked him and followed the instructions he was given. It was a difficult place to access, even though it was in the city, so it was difficult to find the girl. After a while, Douglas saw a large tree with yellow flowers, and as he got closer he saw two houses that looked abandoned. One of them had a red door. He immediately called other police cars and tried to enter the house. However, it was locked. Near the door was a dog that seemed to be sleeping, but when Douglas got closer, it was lifeless. Douglas called out to the girl, but no one answered. With no other choice, he broke down the front door. It was an old, abandoned house. The furniture was all dirty and the place smelled really bad. Right at the entrance, he found a man lying on the floor. Douglas went to him, but he was lifeless and had signs that he had been there for some time. He searched the entire house and one of the doors was also locked. Douglas forced entry until the lock broke. Inside, he found the girl unconscious on the floor next to a woman. Lara was cold but still breathing, albeit weakly. The woman next to her, who was probably her mother, was already showing signs of decomposition. After trying to wake Lara up, she opened her eyes and asked for food. It seemed like she had been there for a few days. He noticed that she had heterochromia, her right eye was one color and her left eye another, something very rare. Douglas took her to his patrol car and gave her some cookies he had saved. Lara devoured it and even her appearance changed. She was so hungry. After a while, other police cars and an ambulance arrived. She was taken to the hospital for some tests and Douglas accompanied her because Lara didn't want to let go of his arm. Her tests were good for someone who had not eaten for some time and would not need to be hospitalized. Another problem soon arose. She had no registered father, her mother had died in that house, and according to the police records, she had no relatives. The little girl never left Douglas's side. She was really attached to him. His heart couldn't resist the way Laura looked at him. He made some calls, and so that she wouldn't end up in an orphanage, Douglas would take her home. Before taking her, Lara's statement was taken. She said that her mother and father took her to that house, but that her mother told her to hide in the closet. When she came out, she was locked in the room and her mother was no longer responding. The police had few leads, but at least they now knew that the dead man in the house was Lara's father. As the little girl was led away by Douglas, she cried silently. Despite her young age, Lara seemed remarkably strong for someone who had lost both her mother and father in such a tragic way. At home, Douglas introduced Lara to his wife, Rosa. Rosa was enchanted by the young girl and took her to the bedroom. Lara was so tired that as soon as she lay down she fell asleep. Rosa said, "So young, but she's been through so much horrible stuff. I'm glad you found her. I'll make her a special breakfast when she wakes up." Douglas and Rosa had been married for 5 years. They dreamed of having a child but always put it off until later, as something always came up that made them postpone their plans. The next day Lara was visibly sad. She knew she had lost her father and mother. Rose made the little girl an amazing breakfast and gave her all the affection she could. Douglas arrived home at that moment with clothes for the girl, who was delighted with what she got. That weekend the couple made a point of making Lara have as much fun as possible. They went to amusement parks, shopping malls, watched movies at the cinema, and talked a lot. Douglas and Rosa discovered that the girl spent a lot of time alone at home because her mother always went out and came back late, and that the man she called her father was actually her stepfather. He rarely showed up at home either, but he always treated her very well and even brought her gifts. When Douglas heard this information, he immediately called his police friends to inform them that the man found dead in the house was actually the girl's stepfather, but she called him her father. His colleagues also informed them about the new discoveries they had learned. Both the girl's mother, her stepfather, and even the dog had some kind of poison in their bodies, and this was the cause of death. Douglas, Rosa, and Lara returned home when the girl began to feel severe stomach pains. They gave her medicine for her pain and put the young girl to rest. While the girl slept, the couple looked at her, and even though they had only spent 2 days with her, they already felt a great affection for Lara. However, Douglas told his wife that this would only be temporary, because if no relatives were found she would probably end up in an orphanage. Rosa's heart sank. She didn't want the girl to have such a fate, and she hoped deep down that someone would come to take care of her. Night fell and everyone was asleep when the couple woke up to a noise downstairs in their house. Douglas immediately went to see what was happening. He was very careful because someone could have entered the house. Rosa went to see if Lara was okay. While looking at the house, Douglas noticed that they tried to break in by breaking the front lock, but the grill that protected the door was still intact. He took even more care when he noticed another noise and went to the back door. A person was trying to enter the house, but when he realized Douglas' presence, he ran away. He tried to go after the mysterious person, but she had already disappeared into the night. Douglas called the police and no clues were found. He also couldn't give a description of who it could be, as it was very dark. The suspicions were that whoever had tried to enter was going after Lara, as in more than 10 years of living in that place, no one had dared to do so, as it was a very safe neighborhood, in addition to being the home of a police officer. Lara was fine. Despite all the confusion, she hadn't woken up and was sleeping peacefully. The next day, Douglas didn't go to work. He had taken a few days off so he could be with his wife and Lara. A few days passed and Lara was quite attached to them. Whenever they walked together, Lara would hold Rosa and Douglas's hands. The three of them walked around as if they were a very happy family. Rosa asked her husband if they could adopt Lara. Douglas was not surprised by the question, but it would be quite complicated for the couple to do so, so he promised that when everything was resolved he would do everything possible to make sure she lived with them forever. One day Rosa was talking to Lara in the kitchen while Douglas was preparing breakfast for them both. The girl was becoming more and more cheerful, talkative, and smiling. While they were eating, Lara had severe stomach pains again. Douglas felt guilty. He thought it was something he had done wrong, but Lara then said that her mother had asked her to keep a secret and not tell anyone or people would not like her. Douglas and Rosa said she could tell them anything and nothing would change, but the girl was in a lot of pain, had a fever, and suddenly fainted. They immediately took her to the hospital where she received urgent care. The couple waited the entire time for news from the doctors. This concern for the girl made them realize how much they already liked her. She was already an important part of their lives, and if she were to leave, she would be greatly missed. After a few hours in the emergency room, the doctors went to talk to the couple and had also called the police. The tests showed several stones in the girl's body, stones that were stuck in her intestine. Doctors performed emergency surgery and removed everything. They were probably diamonds. Rosa and Douglas were shocked by what the doctor said, but they were more concerned about Lara's health. However, the girl was fine, but she would have to stay in the hospital for a few days due to the surgery. Douglas was quite angry. He was angry at whoever had made the girl swallow those stones, but he needed to wait for Lara to wake up to find out what she had done. When Lara woke up from the surgery, neither Douglas nor Lara brought up the subject, but the little girl herself made a point of explaining, even though the couple had asked her to rest. Lara explained that her mother asked her to swallow the stones because a man was trying to steal them and they were worth a lot. Lara did as she was asked, but her mother told her not to tell anyone because people wouldn't like her if they knew, so she kept it a secret all this time. Douglas stroked Lara's head and told her it was okay, that they would still love her. Lara started crying immediately and Douglas didn't know what he had done. Lara said that she had never, not even her mother, said that she loved her. The couple stayed close to the girl and gave her as much affection as they could. Days later Lara was discharged and was fine. She said she missed home, but when she referred to home, it was Douglas and Rosa's house. The couple knew that Lara was now part of their lives and that they would do everything to protect her. Lara and Rosa stayed at home and Douglas went to the police station to find out if they discovered anything else about the girl. There he learned that the diamonds were from a store that sold luxury jewelry and that had been robbed a few months ago, but that so far no person had been arrested. Suspicions went to Lara's mother and stepfather, but there were probably more people involved in the crime. For days the police investigated, but nothing was found and Douglas feared for the safety of Lara and Rosa too, as she spent a lot of her time with her. However, nothing else happened for a long time and Lara began to have more freedom to go out, play in front of the house and ride her bike as long as an adult was watching her. Douglas and Rosa filed for adoption because no relatives could be found and they loved the girl. They wanted to tell Lara the good news and went to her room, but she was not there. They searched the house, but there was no sign of her. Outside she was talking to a strange man who suddenly grabbed her by the arm and pulled her to come with him. Douglas ran and managed to catch the man who was immediately arrested. When he saw his face, he noticed that he had heterochromia just like Lara. Douglas was in doubt. It was too much of a coincidence. Could that man be Lara's biological father? At the police station, the mysterious man was identified and confessed everything. He was Lara's biological father, in addition to being the diamond thief. When he had possession of the diamonds, he needed a place to store them in case he was caught, so he took them to his daughter's mother. Lara's mother grew greedy and did not want to return the stones, so she made the girl swallow them all so that they would not be found. Lara's father wanted to negotiate with her mother, and so he invited her and her current boyfriend, Lara's stepfather, to meet at that house. When they got there, Lara's father had not yet arrived, but when they noticed his presence, Lara's mother asked her to hide and stay quiet. He offered the couple a drink and then warned them that she was poisoned, but that he would give them an antidote if they told him where the diamonds were. Lara's stepfather said that the girl had eaten and begged for a cure, but he fainted before he could say anything else. Lara's mother refused to tell him where the girl was, so he locked her in that room so she wouldn't survive. Little did he know that Lara was there the whole time. After giving his statement, He also revealed all of his companions who had participated in the crime. Douglas was relieved. It was finally over. He told Rosa and Lara the good news. Lara didn't know about her biological father, and so she didn't suffer much when he was arrested. Time passed and they received a letter from the adoption process. Rosa and Douglas were nervous, but when they opened the door, they cried with emotion. Lara's custody would be given to them. When they told the girl, she also cried with happiness. The three hugged and could finally be a happy family as they always wanted. I hope you enjoyed the story. Like, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching.